Morning, I'm Richard from Early Retirement Wanderlust, and it's the first Thursday of the month, so it's time to talk all things wellbeing. What I want to do today is to take you through how the use of a simple notebook has changed the way I live my life. So this is a new feature on the channel where once a month we are going to take some time to go and look at all things wellbeing and look at a variety of different topics. Jackie affectionately calls it my mumbo jumbo stuff that she doesn't have a massive amount of interest in, but following on from a video that I did a few months ago on my early morning routine, and I'll put a link to it up there if you haven't seen it, we had so many lovely comments about that, and I'm really passionate about looking after myself and doing some reading around stuff and trying different things to enhance my life. So this morning I just want to look at something really simple that I've been doing in my life for a number of years. In fact, having looked at my old notebooks, it dates back to about 2010. So in this video I want to take you through what notebooks I use, why I use them, and how I use them in my daily life to just make life that little bit simpler and that little bit easier. So as I've said, I've been using notebooks in my life in some form or other for many years. It stemmed from my professional needs in terms of trying to hold so much information, and I was just finding it increasingly impossible to keep all of that information in my head. The mind is for having ideas and not holding ideas, and we can only cope with a certain amount of information. For me, that's a very little amount of information, and I find that I need to write things down, whether it be random thoughts, things to do, or a whole variety of other creative ideas, but I needed somewhere where I could just scribble stuff down. Early in my career, I just used to do that on post-it notes and bits and bobs of paper, but I found it really difficult to try and collate those. I was constantly losing my list of things to do, which probably defeats the object. So a notebook was a natural evolution, but during that time, my use of notebooks has evolved. Those of you that have seen the channel before will know that I am perhaps a little bit obsessive and a little bit habitual in what I do, and I absolutely love Moleskine journals. It is my favourite bit of stationery. They're not the cheapest, but I think that when you look at them, they just sort of ooze quality. So I really like the soft covers, and for many years I used these A5 journals. I've still got one now because I used to use this as my daily journal, and being a tight Yorkshireman, I've got a little bit of space left in it, so I now use that for my annual planning. I find that I don't need to take that out with me. It stays in the house, but it's a point of reference so that when I'm doing my quarterly reviews and when I'm doing my monthly reviews, I have got a go-to place where all of my yearly goals are stored, and I can do all of that work. But that actually stays in the house because obviously it's just a little bit too big. The reason why I evolved from daily journaling in this Moleskine book is that I wanted a little bit more structure to my daily journaling, and you will, if you've seen the channel before, know that I am a great advocate of the 6-minute diary. So my daily journaling now takes place in this, and again, this tends to go everywhere with me when we are traveling, so it's always close at hand because I need it at the start of the day and at the end of the day. But all of my daily journalings, musings, gratitude and so on and so forth goes in there. So I needed a different solution to carry with me every day so that I'd always got a notebook at hand, and I had got a place where I could take all of the information that was going around in my head and put it into one place where I knew it was safe, it was off my mind, and then I could process it at a later stage. And that was obviously then downsizing the Moleskines into pocketbooks. I actually found this old journal that goes back to 2010, which was when I was sort of part way through my career, and I just noted everything down in this. It was everything to do with my life. So it had my yearly plans in, it had my daily musings, it had little observations, it had things to do, and it was a really good catch-all. And it worked really well when I was working because I always wore a suit and it just popped inside my jacket pocket, and it was a really handy size to carry professionally. But one of the things I found over time was that these pocket notebooks were actually just a little bit too thick to carry around on an everyday point of view, and particularly when I wasn't working and I hadn't really got a massive amount of pocket space. The other thing that's awkward about this size that I found was that there's nowhere to store a pen. And that was one of the big issues that I had with using notebooks, in the fact that there's no use carrying a notebook if you can't carry a pen, and there's no use using a notebook system if you don't have it with you at all times. So I then made the decision to go even lighter and use these cashier notebooks, again from Moleskine, and they are really useful because they are very small, they're very slim, they do fit in jeans back pockets, and there was a benefit in the fact that you could just clip a pen on the back and carry it with you. But you can obviously see from here that they get absolutely battered. I've had to use some duct tape to stick this together. They were constantly falling apart. I was losing pages in them. But despite them getting a little bit battered, one of the significant advantages of using the cashier notebooks for me is the fact that you never lose it. So they don't take very long to fill up, sort of 5 or 6 weeks worth of stuff is in here, and then it's full, and then you just swap out to another journal and you can keep this at home and it's always safe. So you're never going to lose too much information, and I actually really like them. They are cheap, they've got a bit of a sort of retro look, they are really handy because they've got like this little pocket in the back where you can keep bits and bobs that you pick up, and it works really well as a daily solution. So I was quite happy with that up until the point that we went to America, and I just stumbled upon a little boutique-y type shop that actually had one of these, which is just a leather cover with a simple elastic band that actually holds 2 cashier notebooks. Now the benefit of this is that it's nice and soft, it's nice and retro, it feels and looks good, and it's only going to look better over time as it gets more and more battered. It holds that a little bit more information, and I like the fact that I can have 2 of my notebooks in here because I can have legacy stuff and then a new notebook as well. It's relatively lightweight. It has all the benefits of still being able to get access to the pockets. So I obviously have my early retirement giveaway stickers and contact cards and a whole host of goodies in the back of there. But I just really like the feel. And for me, the game changer was that you can store a pen in the back. You can just elasticate it up. It fits in a jeans back pocket, and this now goes everywhere with me. And I just love the kinesthetic feel of it. It brings me joy on a daily basis. And I know that sounds really nerdy, but I just love this solution. Obviously, if I needed a replacement, it would be a bit of an issue having to go back to Colorado to get one, but I have noticed that they are widely available on Amazon, and I'll put some links in the description below because they are cheap as chips and they just offer a really good cover and protection for the cashier notebooks, so it makes them a lot more durable, and it just is a really good solution. One of the other things, as well as my obsession with Moleskine, is that it will come as no surprise that I have a bit of an obsession with pens. Everyone needs a favourite pen, surely, or is it just me? Everyone needs a favourite pen in life, and I just have stumbled upon Uniballs, and they are relatively cheap. I think they're about £1.50 a throw, so I tend to get them off Amazon as a 5-pack. The one thing I have found is by keeping it in the notebook at the back that I never lose a pen. It's always there, I know where it is, it's always to hand, and I sort of pride myself on not losing the pen, even though it's a disposable pen. The quality of the ink and the quality of the writing is really good, and I don't think you can understate that actually. It's a really nice feel having a good pen and having good quality stationery, and it's going to make you more likely to use your journal on a daily basis. How I use my notebook on a daily basis comes down to a very old principle, get things done system, which is to do with a capture system. So my notebook is basically like a second brain, and I use it to capture all my thoughts, because the brain can only cope with a certain amount of information. The brain is for having ideas and not holding ideas. Old-fashioned research used to say that the human brain can cope with 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information at any one point in time, and I think modern research has actually said that we can cope with even less information than that. So it's really important to find a way to get stuff off my mind, and a notebook is a simple way, because as soon as something comes into my mind that I think that I might need to remember in the future, I jot it down in the notebook. So that may be something that we need to get from the shops, or it may be a creative idea, but anything that comes into my mind will have a place somewhere in this journal. In its simplest format, I use a notebook for things to do. So if I've got things to do, I write them down, and when I've done them, I take a great deal of pride in either crossing them off or putting a little tick next to them. If you haven't done that before, it does give a really bizarre sense of accomplishment, just simply crossing something off the list. And the benefit is you can look back at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and you can realise that you've actually done a load of really good productive stuff, which you'd have probably forgotten about. Having never been a creative person before in my life, coming into the world of YouTube has been a bit of a revelation, and I use this notebook all the time for when random thoughts come into my mind, for ideas for videos. So that could be when I'm in the shower, when I'm out on a walk. I will just stop, get the book out, and just scribble a few notes down, and you will be amazed at how many creative ideas are contained within these tiny little notebooks, and they're not in any particular order, but I know that those ideas are down, and then at some point I can flick back, maybe a month later, 2 months later, who knows, it could be years later, but I've got a collection of creative ideas that I could use at any point in time. Having a bank of information that's easily to hand in the form of a notebook encourages me to regularly check and go through the notebook and review the thoughts and the musings and the information that's contained within. And that's a really good process in itself. I really like the fact that you are going back to basics in terms of a more analog form of information, because quite often when information's held on my phone, I just get dragged into that rabbit hole. There's all the temptations of social media and distractions, whereas in an analog version of information, I'm just getting an opportunity to flick through, to review, to think, to consider, to amend, to change. There's a whole host of things that I find myself doing when I just sit down and go through my past thoughts. I find the process of writing things down and getting them off my mind and knowing that they are somewhere safe that I can always return to a really, really calming process in my own mind. I'm no longer anxious about losing valuable information because it's all here. The benefit of the cashier notebooks is that I'm not too anxious about losing them, because with them being smaller, they don't contain a massive amount of information. And once they're full, they get safely stored at home, so that information is safe forever. Touch wood, I haven't actually lost any of these notebooks yet. I don't actually know what I'd do if I did, but the fact that it is my leather bound one and it is part of my everyday carry, so I don't go anywhere without my phone, I don't go anywhere without my notebook, and I rarely go anywhere without my keys. So it is just something that is constantly with me, and it's almost impossible to forget. So what are the benefits of using a notebook in your daily life? The first one for me is the get things done principle. Getting stuff off your mind and onto paper makes me feel so much better. I'm no longer anxious about remembering things, I'm no longer anxious about losing things, and I have taken stuff from my mind and I've put it into my second brain, which may not be that organised, but at least it's a place where stuff is kept safe and sound. I think a physical notebook where you scribble things down is such a better alternative to doom scrolling on your phone. As I said, I get easily distracted, and as soon as I open up my phone, there is the temptation of social media and a whole host of different information streams that a notebook just doesn't have. You can remain single-minded, you can remain focused, and you can avoid those distractions by just simply leafing through your notebook. My notebook is my one-stop shop for all of my thoughts, so I don't use multiple notebooks. This is the only thing that I note my thoughts down in, so I know that everything I need is actually contained within this notebook. I find the process of using a pen and paper a really mindful one. I'm not limited by technology, so I don't have to worry about the battery life of this. I don't have to worry about how quickly I can type or get information down. Simply getting a pen out and a fresh piece of paper and being able to scribble something down is mindful. It is quite basic, but it works, and it's a very, very quick and low technology solution to getting stuff off your mind. For the years that I've been using notebooks, I am absolutely reassured that rarely do I forget things. I am a natural worrier, and I do worry about forgetting things, and I worry about worrying about forgetting things. So knowing that I've got a one-stop solution and that all of my thoughts go down in this is a massive reassurance to me. It's a really simple, low-tech solution. You can use your mobile phone for making notes, and I know lots of people that do that really successfully. I'm just not that tech savvy. I can't organise my notes, I lose things on the phone, and I just find the simplicity of a good old paper and pen solution really refreshing. And probably the last benefit of using a notebook and pen is that I just absolutely enjoy the process, and I'm never been the neatest person. I have probably doctor's style writing, so only I can read it, but just being able to put my thoughts down on paper and be able to take time out to do that, and to be able to have a collection of all my thoughts and ideas is just a lovely, lovely process. And it may not be the most efficient, it may not work for you, but it does work for me, and I actually enjoy the process of doing it as well. So yeah, that's my final benefit. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed my random musings about use of a simple notebook. It sounds a really simple topic, but I think it goes much, much deeper. And what it's done is it's definitely calmed me down, it's relaxed me, it's given me reassurance that I'm not going to forget things. It's a really, really simple and cheap solution, and it brings me a lot of joy doing it on a daily basis. So, you know, if there's anything that you can take from this video, please feel free to do so. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. And that's it from me. See you later.